Let's stay in London now in order to cross paths with Billy Bragg, who's got a new album out called Don't Try This at Home, also featuring such guest talents as Johnny Marr and members of R.E.M. Billy's spent the past 8 years fearlessly serenading the cause of socialism in one of the worst voices ever to find its way onto vinyl. However, with the breakdown of communism in the Soviet Union and the end of Maggie Thatcher's reign in Britain, Bill has had to rethink his general policies a bit. Thus, he's turned his talents to writing songs with short, punchy titles like Sexuality. But never fear, Bill's not started wearing lots of heavy chains around his neck and singing like Barry White. No. In fact, he wants you to know that though he may be broadening his musical horizons, he still keeps the red flag flying close to his heart. Comrade Billy Bragg, people's friend and self-styled bard of barking under the penetrating gaze of Rapido now.
This is Billy Bragg performing in Moscow before the recent upheavals in the USSR. Rapido met up with him at Karl Marx's grave in Highgate Cemetery to discover that he believes Marx's views on communism are still valid today.
I think although Marx's analysis may have been wrong, the things that he wrote about are still with us. The problems that he saw are still facing us. You know, the failure of capitalism to deliver the fruits of society to the majority of people. I mean, that's why socialism was born in the first place. So they're still very, very relevant. Unemployment, bad housing, poverty, hunger, ignorance around the world, all these things have still got to be combated. So really, to me, it's just a phase has ended, a philosophical phase, but the struggle carries on.
I look out, my country's patriots are hunting down below. I know.
More than anyone else, Billy's represented the voice of politics in pop, from supporting the miners to campaigning against the Gulf War. But his protests come from the heart rather than the Communist Manifesto.
As far as I'm concerned, I came to socialism by a humanitarian route. So I didn't come to it through a Marxist-Leninist route. So it's not difficult for me now that the ideological manifestation of that is perhaps bankrupt, to step back to the humanitarian side and start again. I still have those humanitarian ideals. You know, I should imagine that Marxists are very confused at the moment, don't really know what to do.
We don't like these campaigns where you know another one to the wall. And that's what gets me in trouble, heaven help me. Goodbye and good luck to all the promises you've broken.
Here's Billy and his band working through Accident Waiting to Happen from the new album Don't Try This at Home, featuring R.E.M. and Johnny Marr. This doesn't mean he's sweetened up his lyrical concerns, no matter how boring politics may seem to the general public.
Politics generally are boring. If you look at the House of Commons, it is pretty boring. They're pretty boring people. But unfortunately, politics intrudes into all our lives. And I think we all should be prepared and also capable of carrying and arguing about the subject. You know, everyone has some point of view about the important issues of the day, whether it's racism, sexism, homophobia, the war, some unions, the political parties. And I think everybody should at least be challenged on those issues rather than just pretending they don't exist.
I'm getting way down.
Billy's commercial breakthrough came this summer with the song he co-wrote with Johnny Marr and sang with Kirsty MacColl. Called Sexuality, it's about safe sex. Although it represents a change in direction and subject matter, as far as Billy's concerned, it meets the necessary requirements of a pop song.
I think it's very important that you don't write songs that only mean something to a small clique of people. You've got to try and reach a lot of people without generalising. You mustn't generalise, but by the same token, you've got to try and say what you say in a certain way that a lot of people can understand it, that it's accessible as an idea. And I think to use some colloquialisms is very helpful.
God's footballer hears the voices of angels above, the choir of morning news
He's British and proud of it, but he's quite happy to take what he wants from other cultures.
We are in a very privileged position because of our language. We are kind of like a conduit for American culture, halfway between the great cultures of Europe and the great cultures of North America. And we're kind of like, you know, we have easy access to their culture, and then we can, when it pleases us, stand with them culturally. And then when it pleases us, we can lean towards Europe culturally. But I don't think you can judge a country on their pop song.
Not to be confused with Tony Orlando and Dawn, hitmakers of the immortal Tie a Yellow